Well, good evening and welcome back to the Brothas-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police-involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those police officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We also take a look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Would their situation had turned out differently? Now, as usual, you may agree or disagree with us, but it is our hope by the end of the video that you get a better understanding of how these things unfold. So if you're new to our channel, I was a Virginia State police officer for 7 years, and I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer with 21 years of service. And good evening, Mike, and welcome.
Hey, good to be back. Got another show for you guys lined up. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Delando. I'm Mike Bradley, a retired police officer for 26 years out of Northern California, and I'm also a Army 6-year Army veteran. So it's good to be back. We got one lined up for you. It was a tragic circumstance, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But before we get into it, as usual, if you're new to the show, go ahead and hit that like button for us and subscribe to our channel so you stay up to date with all our latest videos that we come out with. We go live once a week, every Thursday evening. And we're excited about this. We're excited about what we're doing and the direction that our show is going. Again, like Mike said, welcome everybody. We got a few more people jumping on. And again, hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us. Share this out far and wide. Also, to hit on over to our merch shop. If you haven't done so already, get yourself a Brothas-in-law t-shirt. Help support the channel. Everything that we get goes to expanding our message and getting our word out there, staying calm, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Delando, we got your videos. I still hadn't got a chance to take a look at them, but appreciate that. We got some great comments in our emails. Got another one from Jesus Loves You. Another video he'd like for us to take out. We got that on the chopping block as well. So welcome, Jesus Love You. I'm just giving you a shout out. Thank you for the email. We're going to take a look at that video and we'll give you our opinion on it in the email, or we'll mention on the show next week. But head on over to that merch shop, grab a t-shirt from us. We got a lot of great products on there as well. Mike, you want to set this one up?
Yeah, this was an unfortunate circumstance, I should say. The police, in this particular case, this happened in July of this year, earlier July, or late July of this year.
Late July, yeah.
Yeah. And what happened was, the way we understand it is the police officer was actually on another detail dealing with something, and a citizen comes up to him and reports that there is a black male on a scooter in possession of a firearm. And so naturally the officer starts to search the area that he was reported as being in and wants to look at it and see what's going on with it. So that's how this all unfolds. So when you look at the video, it's going to detail some of that and how that took place. It's an unfortunate vehicle. I want to warn you guys. It's, you know, if you see something offensive, you're going to see something that's serious, and we want to give you a heads up about it.
Yeah, it's definitely graphic. It's one that you know, no officer or no parent would love would want to see their child or husband involved in. But it's a very short video. So I think there's a lot of talking points to it. It's a lot of lessons learned. Some things that parents may want to share with their kids. So if you're a parent out there, definitely take a look at this, and we'll give our take on and pointers of the do's and don'ts when having a replica BB gun. When to carry, when not to carry, and where to carry it. So it's a very short video. We'll play it, and then we'll give our analysis on it. It's only about I think 2 or 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, Mike? It's not very long, but it's enough to talk about.
oh yeah, for sure. All right. Again, the warning. It is graphic.
For Adam 11.
For Adam 11.
I'm stuck here with this tow right now, but I've been advised by a citizen that possibly a young gentleman on a scooter in the area of McGill and Blackstone, possibly armed with a handgun. I got the impression it was one of those, not a motorized scooter.
Copy.
I don't have any other description other than a young man, possibly with a handgun.
Copy. Do you want to call me up in an area check?
Yeah, start a unit that way. In fact, I see a gentleman on a scooter now on Effie and McGill. Stand by.
All right, and his body cam audio will cut on in a second.
Get your hands up. Stop. Stop. Ah! 4 Adam 11. I got shots fired. For Adam 11. I'm going to need traffic blocked off at McGill and Effie. Also, McGill and Warner. I'm sorry, Effie and Warner. Start me equipment code 3. Start me units and supervisor, please.
Let's play that one more time there, Corey. It was so quick.
Yeah.
You know.
For Adam 11.
For Adam 11.
I'm stuck here with this tow right now, but I've been advised by a citizen that possibly a young gentleman on a scooter in the area of McGill and Blackstone, possibly armed with a handgun. I got the impression it was one of those, not a motorized scooter.
Copy.
I don't have any other description other than a young man, possibly with a handgun.
Copy. Do you want to call me up in an area check?
Yeah, start a unit that way. In fact, I see a gentleman on a scooter now on Effie and McGill. Stand by. Yeah. Get your hands up. Stop. Stop. Ah! 4 Adam 11. I got shots fired.
Woo! All right, Mike.
Yeah. You know, you're gonna have a lot of emotional responses from this, I think, Corey. I'm going to try to look at this from an officer's point of view, who has the description or some kind of description of a male subject on a scooter with a handgun. Now, my mindset as an officer, if I get that kind of call or if I'm flagged down by a citizen who wants to alert me of that, I have to respond, and I'm going to check the area and try to find this guy on a scooter who possibly has a handgun. And my mindset, I have to be ready for whatever, basically. You know what I'm saying? Right. Remember what we always tell you, viewers, is we assume the worst until we walk backwards and determine that it ain't.
That is not correct.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So and you're hoping that this isn't a firearm. You're hoping that this isn't some incident where some guy is going to pull a gun on you, but you have to be ready for it just in case that does happen. Now, in this situation, he came across the guy. Guy immediately got on his knees. Now, he don't know how old this person is. You could argue all day that he thinks he looks 15. He turns out he was 15 years old, but he was 15. He was a kid. Does, like we always say, Corey, does that really make a difference? You still have to make sure to say a 15-year-old can shoot you dead just like a 25-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, but I think in this case he had no idea because this kid was also wearing a mask.
There you go. I didn't see that. So that would explain why he didn't have any more of a description than what he did. So without inserting my emotions into it as far as poor kid, I'm only thinking of this from a law enforcement standpoint as an officer responding to this call. Now that I have the comfort, Corey, of sitting in my home, looking at a video over and over again, looking at all the small details, having the comforts of making a decision with plenty of time here in front of me, then, now I could see that this is probably a kid who was probably trying to show this officer that, hey, it's a BB gun. He even started to say it's a BB something before the officer fired. Yeah. But you have to look at it, folks. It's the actions, not just the words. I can't take your word for it that it's a BB gun if I'm telling you not to reach for it and you start pulling it out on me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I would do in that situation, Corey. I could understand an officer shooting. I can also understand an officer not shooting. This is one of those things where textbook, you shoot. Somebody pulling the gun, you don't assume it's a BB gun. You know what I'm saying? If you tell them to put their hands up and they're constantly refusing to put their hands up, and then they start reaching in their front waistband and start pulling out what looks like a gun, I don't have to wait until I confirm it's a BB gun. Right. What say you?
No, I agree 100%. Like Jesus Love You said, he said it almost looked like the kid was about to put the fake gun down on the ground, but he should have just kept his hands, up and followed the directions of the officer. We always talk about these types of incidents that happen and how the officer has to make a split-second decision. You don't, as an officer, Mike, you don't have that time, if you will, to, all right, let me decipher if this is a toy or this is a gun. And, like you said, words, I can tell you, it's a BB gun all day, and since it is, but how do I know you didn't manipulate that gun to now make it into, a real weapon, right? We've heard about these things. We heard about how guys out here take cell phones and turn them into single shots. You don't know. You don't know until you can prove that it's not. Like you just said, it's a replica.
And we don't know if the officer at the time, Corey, can comprehend that he's starting to say it's a BB, because in his mind, he's just looking at a guy reaching for a firearm, and getting ready to pull it out while he's telling him not to do it.
Right. Because and a lot of times you're not really focusing on what their words are. You're looking at, what's going through your mind at, 1,000 miles per hour, trying to figure out, what his intentions are. You're more worried about his intentions than what the words are that are coming out of his mouth.
Right.
And, you have a split-second decision to make. What if it was a real gun? He chose not to shoot. Then the officer gets shot and possibly killed. You know what I mean? Did he know that this was a 15-year-old kid? No, because like you said, he only knew what was said on the initial call for service that was called in by a citizen who said, a man. They had no idea what it was, and you have to act on it, like you said, because it's a call for service. Man walking around the neighborhood, brandishing a firearm, and that's my thing with these replica guns out here now. It's that people carry them around all willy nilly and not understanding, hey, that it can be mistaken for a real gun, and then incidents like this will start, especially when little kids have it. So I recommend don't do it. If you're going to carry one out, you're going to take it out and go somewhere, put it in the case until you get to where you are. However you play with these airsoft guns, target practice or whatever, or some type of competition, leave it in its case. Just like you transporting your real weapon, if you're going into the range, leave it in its case until you get to where you're going. And parents, definitely, if you're gonna buy your kids one, don't let them run around. Keep it at home. But I know we can't always watch our kids.
I agree. I agree completely. It's just so unfortunate that this 15-year-old kid, who knows if the parents knew he was rolling around on a scooter with a BB gun tucked in his waistband. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? He had to pull it out in some form or fashion for somebody to report it to the police. You know what I'm saying? So I could tell you right now, folks, as an officer, I am never going to assume that the firearm you are carrying is just a BB gun. I'm never going to assume that. I'm going to treat it as if it's real. I'm going to treat you as if the gun is real, as a real firearm that could kill me. Okay? And if I tell you to put your hands up,
yep.
Okay, and you start going down like this into your waistband, not putting your hands up, I'm going to think that's a threat. Okay, I'm just looking at this strictly from an officer's perspective based on training and experience of how I would interpret something like this myself. Now, it's easy, Corey, for me to sit back here now that we looked into this video 20 times in the comforts of our own home with plenty of time to look at the small little details that say, yeah, I might have shot the guy. I might not have shot the guy. But at that moment, at that time, in that second, when this guy is doing that, I can say seems reasonable. I can't say that what that officer did was unreasonable. Sad that it happened this way. Poor kid, got shot. Did he die? I'm not
No,
sure.
he didn't. He survived.
He died, right?
But just like Jesus Love You said, this kid put that officer in a horrible position. When these things happen, you gotta. The officer does not want to be put in that position where they have to make a split decision, whether or not they're going to shoot or not. And, in an instance like this, when there's a gun involved, whether it's real or fake, when that officer tells you to keep your hands up, do that. Because you make any slight move, because I'm not going to let you, like we said plenty of times on this show before, I'm not going to let you get the jump on me. All right, I'm going to be faster on the draw than you. And if I let you get anywhere close to that gun and touch that gun, as soon as you reach for it, that's deadly force right there. And thank God this young boy didn't die from it. He was in critical condition. I'm not sure what his status is now. But again, this is the importance of staying calm, right? You're interacting with law enforcement now. For whatever reason, the officer told you to put your hands up and to, in this case, told him to get down on the ground. He got down on his knees. He was good all the way up to that point. It doesn't matter if you're trying to explain your actions of what you're doing. This is fake. This is real. I don't have to. Just listen to what they're saying. get down, put your hands up, don't touch anything. Just don't touch anything because you know you don't know what type of officer you're going to get, right? What people say, we can sit back and watch this now, and thinking, oh, he was just trigger happy, right? No, I mean, he's going to react when he feels that a threat is upon him or her. He's going to react to that, and so by not complying and not listening to what they're telling you, and you taking things into your own hands right now, it's not going to end well. And this is the importance of staying calm. What say you, Mike?
Now, what makes this tragic is this was a 15-year-old kid who all these things we're saying right now, which is the truth, what you should do. As a 15-year-old, you don't know all that stuff. You ain't thinking like that. You know what I'm saying? You thinking that, oh, I'm in trouble because I got this BB gun. Somebody must have called the cops on me. So let me hurry up and show this officer that this is a BB gun. That was on that 15-year-old's mind. Matter of fact, now that we looked at the video 1,000 times again and got the time to really decide on whether or not we would have done this or we would have done that, it looked like he was not only was he, once he pulled it out, it looked like he was starting to put it down on the ground, even. But you got to understand, folks,
that's what.
Yeah. Well, now that we have this luxury of looking back on it, yeah. But you got to understand, folks, as an officer, it takes your brain a second or two to determine whether you have a threat, to act on that threat, or not to act on that threat. Okay. By the time he was going down, putting that gun on the ground, saying it's a BB, well, you had already showed the threat by pulling it out of your waistband. So I'm going to act on what I saw last, which was pull that gun out of your waistband. You see what I'm saying? Once you start pulling that gun out of your waistband, I have identified a threat and I'm going to respond and act on that threat. And by the time I finish my response, yeah, you might go further and be putting that gun on the ground, but it's too late. I already responded to that threat.
Right. And I say you're not following the commands. And by reaching, and now a decision has to be made. So what do you all think? Was this what a reasonable officer would have done? Would you have done this if you were that officer? And what would you say to your child now going forward about carrying these airsoft guns? Or would you even buy your child an airsoft gun? Let's hear your comments in the comments below. And we want to welcome everybody to the show. We're talking about a black teen that had a Glock 19 replica pellet airsoft gun and was shot by the Fresno Police in Fresno, California, back on July 30th of this year. Thank God the kid is alive. He did not die. But you have to understand the emotions right now that officer is probably going through right now, and the post traumatic stress now this kid is going to have to go through now. Wondering, why I had to get shot. I think it's going to be a huge lesson for him. What you say, Mike?
Yeah, it'll be a huge lesson. But let's hope it'll be a huge lesson.
Well, let's hope.
And as far as that officer goes, if I decide to shoot, once I determine that this is a BB gun and this kid was probably, doing something that a kid shouldn't have been doing, I'd feel some kind of way. I'd be feeling bad about it. You know what I'm saying? But
100%.
Can I say that what this officer did was way out of left field? Like that shouldn't have happened. That officer shouldn't have just fired that shot. I can't really say that. I can't say that it was unreasonable the way he responded to what was presented in front of him.
Right. And I would love to think I wouldn't have shot either. which officers are trained on these types of things, shoot, don't shoot type scenarios, and you go through these things, and sometimes you have to play them out inside your head. What would you do in these types of situations as a law enforcement? I think it's what a reasonable officer would do. Maybe there's some officers that would not have shot, and it would have been, cool with that. I mean, I don't know. I like to say I would have done the right thing and stop the threat. That's what you're trying to do, because you don't know what this young boy's intentions were with that BB gun.
Was he going around? I hate to say it. Well, was he going around robbing folks with a fake gun? You said he had a mask. Was he going around robbing folks or something? Is that why somebody reported him? I don't know. I don't know any of that.
See, I don't know. I mean, the call, the officer was attending an abandoned vehicle or something. I was dealing with a tow truck, and said there's a young man on a scooter with a gun, and so that's what he had to go off of, and it's what we.
I'm speculating.
Yeah, it's just
like Delando says, it's sad, but the officer was put in a split decision that could have ended bad for him if the threat was real. True. Think about that, folks. What if that gun was real? That officer could have been shot, and so that's why, as an officer, you have to make that kind of decision very quickly. You have to identify if you have a deadly threat here or not, and you have to act on it. And it is sad, of course. It is sad what happened.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, and I mean, that's pretty much it. Jesus Levy said when he has kids, they'll keep that in the backyard and nowhere else with any kind of gun. I mean, you got to teach your kids the right way to handle these type of things, and knowing that, hey, this can be taken as a real gun, and then you out here, even though you're a kid and you're out here, waving around, maybe shooting squirrels out the trees or whatever. The atmosphere now in which we live in, people are going to perceive that as a real gun, and they're going to call the police, and then the police are going to have to come and investigate that call for service. And if that kid acts like this kid here, the same thing was probably going to happen to them when they're involving with the weapon involved. So we got to do the right thing and tell our kids to leave that stuff at home. You got to make sure, leave it at home. Don't take it out. If you're gonna shoot squirrels, shoot them in the backyard, or don't shoot squirrels. But if you're gonna do target practice, something like that, do it in the backyard, or do it out in the field somewhere where you're away from the public. And like I say, in today's climate, with crime rate going through the roof, everything happening in broad daylight now. People getting gunned down in broad daylight. You're walking around with these toy guns like this and thinking you're playing whatever with your buddies. And the call comes in, the police are going to act just like this.
And some people might say, why didn't the officer start doing first aid on him immediately?
Good point.
Probably because he's by himself. He's waiting for a cover unit. He ain't going to, relinquish his control over the scene before he gets some type of cover there with him. And then he can start doing extra stuff like first aid and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why there was a delay there. He had just shot a kid. Okay. So, and he was by himself. He didn't have no cover unit there at all. So I'm at least wait until I get the cover unit before I can go hands-on, before I holster my weapon, go hands-on and start doing first aid on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, all right. So for me, Yeah, there was a delay. He called it in. That takes time. I mean, you got to call the stuff in first before you can do that. I think he could have then went, remove the weapon, secure the weapon, still had his weapon trained on him, and then uh, go ahead and try and get him in handcuffs and get him detained, and then go ahead and start with the life savings. So again, either way, there's no right or wrong way. I mean, there's no policy saying as soon as you shoot, you must administer first aid right now. No, you like you said, Mike, you gotta make sure the scene is clear.
Yeah, so you've seen the
Safe,
same part.
and then you can, and that individual is secured. And then you can administer first aid. So if it takes you 5 minutes to do all that, or if it takes you 10 or 15, you do what you need necessary to secure the scene and then administer the first aid. So I don't have a problem, but I would have went on ahead and try to get it, expedited, try to get some aid to the young man.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be a big gripe people had too, because he didn't react so fast. We see it here. Officer was just taken court not too long ago for not rendering first aid to an individual that was shot. Well, it wasn't even his call, but it took the jury 14 seconds or 14 minutes to deliberate on it, and he was acquitted. So you can't put a time limit on it. It's just things have to happen. Call out, supervisor, blockage, extra people, and then you can render aid, because it's kind of harder to render aid and then you don't have anything in motion to get there. My mom said raising 3 sons, I wouldn't think of giving our sons a gun. We ain't get that type of luxury.
Yeah, I never had a BB gun when I was younger. So
we wanted one, but
we all wanted one, right?
Yeah. But and for that's it. Well, I think my mom was more worried about us shooting our eyes out versus hitting somebody else. But no, we never had one, and I mean, I still had a good childhood without it. So it wasn't the end all be all for our childhood. But,
no.
And Jesus Love You said he had a slingshot. I ain't even had one of those. I mean, we used to try to make them.
Right.
We tried to make them
with a rubber band or something like that. People was doing something.
Yeah, the tree using it with a tree branch.
Yeah.
We sure did, man. That was funny. Those are good old days right there. But
right there, yeah.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, the more of the story, folks, is something like if your kid is walking around with a replica gun in his front waistband, okay, and he gets stopped by the cops, and the cops tell him to put his hands up, and he decides to go and grab the gun and show the officer that it's a fake or whatever he's grabbing the gun for, something like this could happen. So just be aware that is, like Corey and I think we both agree, it's not unreasonable how this officer responded to this incident as to what was in front of him at that moment. I can't say it's unreasonable. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, we have the opportunity and luxury of looking at this video over and over again. Could I, of course, I don't know if I would have shot or not. You know what I'm saying? I can see if I decide to shoot, I could see why. If I decided not to shoot, maybe I don't know, something in the back of your mind, Corey, is maybe whatever you see at that moment, it's not quite registering as fast as it did with this officer. You know
we're not going to sit here. I mean, that's all we're doing now is Monday morning
quarterback. Yeah.
And coulda, shoulda, woulda. But when you're in that heat of the moment, as an officer, you're going to have to make the best decision possible and own it when you make it. You get to own that decision when you make it.
That's a good point.
That's the scary thing about being an officer and being put in those situations. We don't like being put in those situations. I hated being put in a situation anytime I had to pull my service weapon out, because my initial thought process now, and I'm praying like, Lord, please just don't let me have to pull this trigger, right? And if I had to pull the trigger, I prayed, Lord, that I made the right decision that warranted me to have to pull the trigger. And not just say, it was a toy gun, and you mean tell me you fear for your life with a toy gun? Well, how was I supposed to know it was a toy gun? Right. You know what I mean? And so it's not a win-win. Nobody won in this situation. Nobody is a hero in this situation. It's sad all the way around. Even though, like I said, thank God the young man didn't die, but the officer now has to, live with that. I shot a 15-year-old kid. What if you had a 15-year-old kid? Right. Yeah. That's your child laying down there, shot. And, he's got to live with that. And his kid's got to live with being shot, with almost losing his life and trying to comprehend now, what he did. Was it right or was it wrong what he did? He in his head, he's probably thinking, Mike, I was doing the right thing. I was trying to show him it was a fake gun. But hey, don't do it. We have to tell our kids, when you come in contact with law enforcement, you have to stay calm. You have to comply. You have to answer their questions. You have to listen to them so that you can move on.
Especially if you have a BB gun tucked in your waistband. The last thing you want that officer to think is that you have a real gun tucked in your waistband. So you put your hands up. You could tell the officer, hey, I have a BB gun tucked in my waistband, but don't grab it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Don't grab it. Right. Let the officer come up and grab that BB gun from your waistband. That's what you do. Okay. All right, kids, all you kids who might be in that position, even if you have it tucked in your pants, don't reach for it. Just
even you adults. Even to the adults.
Let the officer grab that.
Let the officer grab that and make it safe. I've done it plenty of times. People have weapons in their car. Like, hey man, I'm gonna pull you out the car. I'm gonna make the weapon safe, and then I would separate the magazine and the weapon. I'll put the magazine in, have them pop their trunk, put the magazine in the trunk, and put the weapon in the car with them, just to make it safe until we're done with the stop and go for it. But they always, got the hands up, or they put the hands out the car. Hey, officer, just let you know, my gun is on my hip right here. Or sometimes I wouldn't even do that. I would just, all right, just me a favor, just leave both your hands out the window. Do not stick your hands in the window, back inside the vehicle at all, or I'll take that as a threat. And they'll do it. Now, those are the citizens that are going to do the right thing. Now, we talking about these cats out here that are convicted felons and you name it, they got a conviction of it. These cats ain't gonna listen to that. Their mentality is, I ain't going back to jail. He can't know I got this gun on me. And then they go and reach for it, and then we're in situations like this.
Some people might have the response of, why is it that officers are always so worried about somebody reaching for a gun? I'm going to play devil's advocate, because that's what some people will say. Why are officers so afraid of someone reaching for a gun? And let me tell you why, folks, because it only takes a half a second for you to reach for a gun and shoot me. Okay. Once you have your hand on a gun, it takes a split second to raise up and fire that weapon at me. So officers are trained to make sure they don't put themselves in that type of situation where, like you said, Corey, the person has to drop on us. Once you have your hand on the gun, you kind of got a drop on us already. Okay. It don't take you but a second to reach up, boom, pull that trigger, and that's it. I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? I'm shot, or I'm seriously hurt or dead. That's why that's one of the basic things that officers are trained on, is we don't want you to reach for anything that we tell you not to reach for. Okay. Because that's why we don't want to lose our life either. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, there are people who will shoot an officer on. You see it all the time on traffic stops and everything like that. Okay, there are people who will pull a gun on an officer and got no problem shooting an officer. Okay, that's why officers are big on that, and that's one of the basic principles in training is that don't reach for that gun, because I'm going to assume that you mean to use it.
Yeah, and we have to act as that until we can determine otherwise. So, and that's it, because we don't. And then, especially if you're inside a vehicle, we have no idea what's in there. How many guns you have in there. Do you anything in there that can hurt the officer? So that's why it's so important that you keep your hands where we can see them. Used to kill me all the time when you're interacting with people. You tell them so many times, "Hey, keep your hands out your pockets. Keep your hands out your pockets." All right, now I'm gonna put you in handcuffs, right? And then you kind of find out he's got a nice little, 22 jammed down in his crotch, and like this is why I went on hand in hand, because this is why you're fidgety. This is why you kept reaching in, because he's trying to try to get a jump on. And I no, well, you're not gonna put me in that situation.
Right. And that's why we tell you to stop putting your hands in your pocket when I'm dealing with you, because remember, I have to assume you have a weapon until I don't. And because I don't know what's in your pockets, okay? I don't want you going and grabbing and reaching, putting your hands down your pockets where you possibly got some weapon inside your pockets to pull out on me. Okay, yeah. So that's why we tell you that keep your hands out of your pockets. It's nothing personal. It's just that we're not going to assume that you just put your hands in your pockets because you don't know what to do with your hands. We're not going to assume that you just putting your hands in your pockets because you want to keep them warm. We're not going to assume that. We're going to assume you might have a firearm or you might have some other kind of weapon in your pockets. So that's why we tell you, don't put your hand in your pockets. Just basic officer safety stuff. That's all it is. Nothing offensive, nothing to take personal, nothing to be offended about at all. It's just basic officer safety stuff. That's it.
That's it. That's what it boils down to. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up for tonight. Definitely a great conversation. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Again, if you got a video you like for us to break down, go ahead and email it to us over at the Brothas-in-law 21 at Gmail. Gmail.com. And we'll get it. Again, Jesus love you. We're going to get to yours and answer you. And hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're new checking us out tonight, check us out every Thursday at 8:10. We go live. And Mike, final words.
Oh, you guys have got the weekend coming up. Everybody be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Relax. Take care of yourselves. And stay calm. Comply, answer questions, listen, and move on.
Move on.
Keyword, move on.
Yeah, definitely share this out, please, to all your family and friends that have young teenage kids, and let this be a teaching moment for them. So much love to everybody. God bless you, and we will see y'all next week, Lord willing. Peace.